everyone, happy Wednesday. Welcome into Ultimate Rivals Sports Talk. I'm Haley Outen. He's Breaky CPK.
Hey.
And Breaky, good to be here with you this week. Man, it has been an exciting last 5-6 days for Ultimate Rivals and BitFry Game Studios, with beta for Ultimate Rivals The Court now officially starting to be sent out and people getting their eyes and hands on this games for the very first time. But we've also got NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, a bunch of stuff to talk about. Crazy week.
Yeah, that's almost feels like an understatement. Yeah, as you mentioned, for us here at BitFry Game Studios, this is absolutely a crazy week, and for mostly good reasons. Obviously, with the launch of beta for the court, that we're just so pumped to finally get out there, at least the taste of it, of what it eventually will be. Of course, the early beta stage is all you can play now, is just the training stage. So part of me almost feels bad that we don't get to allow people to experience the full game that we have ready, or not necessarily ready, but being processed just yet. But it'll come eventually. The fact that they're able to try out the court even in its littlest bits, and the feedback we have been receiving, most of it really has been very positive, which is awesome to see. And I know Ben, our CEO, has been loving it especially as well. So yeah, super pumped for what is to come, definitely, with the future here.
I'm laughing. You feel bad that people maybe don't have the full version yet of Ultimate Rivals The Court, but it feels like we've been talking about this for months, and we've been excited about it since the rink launch. So finally, little bits and pieces of the game coming out as we get really close to the game going live in the Apple Arcade. But you're right, it's been so much fun reading the feedback and all the comments of those that have gotten the chance to play, and mostly positive, which has been really exciting. What has been your biggest takeaway from maybe the most exciting reaction that people have had so far that have gotten the chance to play?
I guess it's really just seeing feedback in terms of the different players, different athletes that people are able to play, and seeing which sport specifically they like, and also which specific athlete even that people are excited about playing. Of course, there's been several already brought up about Steph Curry. He's one of the original players that we're giving people to try out right there, and understandably, he's got that 3-point shot working pretty well for him in the game. So I think people have found his power pretty good so far. But just kind of seeing more and more screenshots come out, and even some video from some of our members here on our Discord server of them doing some big dunks or making some big shots, and just the genuine excitement. It definitely puts a smile on your face, because again, obviously this has been a project that's been in the works for about a year now, really, which is also really not the most time when you think about it, especially the product that we're putting out already. But we have such an awesome team here that's dedicated to making this a great product, and it's cool to finally get that true feedback and reaction and have it be genuine. As far as positive is definitely a good feeling, as I'm sure you've seen plenty of as well, Haley.
Yeah, it's been a ton of fun on every platform that we have, people have been talking about the game, asking how they can get their hands on the game. And so if you're watching right now and you haven't received the information for how to download beta and get that access code, don't worry. Still plenty of time to do so, and you can always message myself or Breaky, and we might be able to hook you up. Just saying, we know some people, so let us know if you're just absolutely dying to play. We would love to have you and get your feedback as we begin to roll this game out. So super exciting stuff, and kind of ties in nicely to what's going on in the real world when it comes to basketball. But before we get to that, we encourage you to join in on the conversation here on Twitch as well as YouTube. And how did we not mention, Breaky, our Discord server this week? It has gone through the roof in terms of people joining, and that's where the majority of this conversation has been taking place about beta. So if you're not in our Discord server yet and you're into this game, that is definitely the place to be.
Yeah, I just linked it in chat just in case for people tuning in that some way, somehow haven't found their way there. But yeah, I mean, that's something else to go for. We have 1,400 humans, 1,400 people in our Discord currently. It says humans because there are some
Humans.
bots that we have for
Thank
moderation
you
purposes,
for
but
yeah. Good
just wanted to
clarification.
clarify. Yeah, got to clarify that. But yeah, so 1,400 people in our Discord server when a week ago we had maybe 50, I want to say, it felt like, or 100 at the most. So again, the growth has been absolutely amazing. And knowing that it's still like so early on, but yeah, the Discord, like I've said, our CEO Ben has been loving it, especially as well. He's very interactive in it, as well as several other staff, including myself and you, as you pointed out, and several of the development teams. So if you're somebody that likes to, interact with those that are working on a game and get some feedback or some information and any help, definitely hit us up in Discord, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, how many games, Breaky? How many companies can you actually have a situation where you're able to have conversations one-on-one with the CEO, the person that created this whole franchise? Like, that's pretty cool to have Ben Friedland in Discord and on every platform, but he's really in there talking to fans, people playing this game, and it's not often you get to talk to the person who started this whole thing off. So that's great, and no one can give better insight for the game than Ben.
Than the man at the top. Yeah,
and get a chance to talk to him.
It's the passion, you could just tell is this is a passion project for him. It really is. I mean, the idea of this whole creation, came from his love of these style of games back in it from his childhood growing up, and so it's very evident, if it wasn't already in the product itself, but this interaction as well. So. But yeah, definitely take advantage of it. As Max Erdrich there in chat, he's one of the known guys in our Discord server. Definitely been hanging out, having some good feedback and some good interactions there. Would certainly vouch for us, I'm sure. So
yeah, Max has been great. We loved having Max in Discord, and glad to have you playing the game, Max, and here with us on Twitch as well. Breaky, let's throw into the chat here our poll for this week, which has to do with basketball, works out nicely. Relating to the NBA playoffs, we're underway and starting to see maybe some of the teams that might have a good shot at winning this whole thing. So we want to get your opinion on who you think has the best chance to win the NBA playoffs when it's all said and done. So let us know your thoughts. You're welcome. And vote in the poll.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, just pretty straightforward question here. Obviously, I didn't want to list every single team, but I thought it was a very interesting question to ask because I have a feeling people's opinions probably would be different from what they were a week ago, including myself, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. But yeah.
You don't usually give people this many options.
I know. I'm curious to see what it's like.
People really have it's not narrowed down to you're biased for. You've really opened it up for people to go a number of different ways.
Yeah.
Very kind of you.
I tried.
All right. So I'm looking at the bracket here for NBA playoffs, and we've had a couple of teams already wrap up the first round. The Milwaukee Bucks were able to move past Miami pretty easily. The Nets, that was short-lived here in Boston.
Yeah.
But some other teams that let's start in the Western Conference. Utah Jazz, that's a team that I know that you've been really excited about all year, and that has really kind of captured people's attention all season long. But were you surprised at all to see this series at 3-1? I feel like the Grizzlies have been an exciting team to watch down the stretch, especially.
Well, so Memphis is an interesting story. They're certainly a team that wasn't really expected to make the playoffs necessarily, but Ja Morant, he is absolutely one of the rising stars in the NBA. He reminds me personally a lot of an Allen Iverson, where he's this smaller dude that just some way, somehow finds his route to the rim and puts it in, whether it's with a dunk, a high-flying dunk, or that layup, or that sweet move. I mean, the guy knows how to drive to the lane, and usually these smaller players, especially nowadays, you would think they're going to pull up for that three-point shot. That's not Ja Morant's style. He is an entertaining player, loves to go to the rim. So, yeah, they snuck in that first game against the Jazz, And we thought, maybe this was actually going to be a series. The Jazz, though, certainly put their foot down and winning 3 in a row to now take that 3-1 lead. So I think the size of the Jazz has started to become more and more of a realization, especially with Rudy Gobert in the middle there, likely Defensive Player of the Year to come. So the Utah Jazz, I see them closing it out, but the Memphis Grizzlies, nothing to be ashamed of when it comes to their season and how it's going to play out here.
Yeah, Ja Morant, a very exciting player to watch, but the Jazz have a chance to close it out tonight as they lead 3-1, and that one, late one, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. So we'll definitely be tuning into that. Some other teams, though, you're a Clippers fan, right? Lakers fan.
More Lakers fan.
Team? Lakers. How could I forget?
How dare you, Haley? No.
Wow.
To be fair, the Clippers were in San Diego for 1 year, so technically I probably should be a Clippers fan in that sense. That is where I grew up, but my father was a Lakers fan growing up, so I became naturally a Lakers fan.
You know what? I must have mixed it up. You tend to go for those underdog, kind of like the second teams in some of these cities. So I must have just, mixed it up there with the Clippers. But hey, I've been a Clippers fan for most of my life, proud to say. So was having some doubts there, but nice that they have tied the series back up at 2. So that's good. Hopes are alive still in LA, but they too will play tonight.
Yeah.
How about sorry, you have feel free.
Well, I mean, just the only statement on that series, it's Dallas was up 2-0. The first 2 games were actually in LA, and they were looking like, Luka Doncic was going to carry them. And Luka is one of the most exciting players for me, speaking of Ja Morant, but Luka Doncic, another one to watch. And I wouldn't mind seeing him progress in the playoffs personally. But yeah, the Clippers, especially coming off of last season's disappointment, this is a team with a bit of pressure. And Kawhi Leonard is certainly doing his best to make sure the prophecies come true for the Clippers this season.
Yeah, and the Clippers starting to play some better defense, I would say. And Luka Doncic, I think he had something's happened to his neck, right? I think he's kind of suffering from a neck injury, so that will be interesting to see if it impacts him in the remainder of this series.
Yeah, I actually didn't hear about the injury there, but if he is, that's
I think something's going on with his neck.
Unfortunate.
But feel free to check on that for me.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Injury report. He is day to day right now. Yeah, hopefully. That's one of those cases. It's like, especially in the playoffs, right? You hate to see that. I mean, if you're a fan of one specific team, like if you're a Clippers fan here, like I could understand the idea. Is like, oh yeah, that's good for us. But as just a basketball fan in general, you never want to see these injuries and taking them out of a series, especially in what should be overall a good series here between these teams. So hopefully he's fine.
I have a feeling you might be feeling this way a little bit about your Lakers right now.
Do we have to talk about them?
Anthony Davis would be very nice.
Yeah, Anthony Davis has been, obviously he's been dealing with the injuries, but it really, especially later on in the season when it was just him playing and not LeBron James, who was coming off of his injury, he wasn't really coming through like you would expect what many people consider a top 5 player in the NBA to do. And I don't know if that's just because he's been used to being able to lean on LeBron James this last year and a half or what, but between the injuries and just frankly in a lot of these clutch games not coming through, it's looking scary for the Lakers. Now down 3-2 to the Suns, who, on the other side, to their credit, they're playing phenomenal. They continue, even with an injured Chris Paul, some way, somehow, they're finding a way to be up in the series.
Yeah, it's weird to see the Lakers in this position, especially with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But this is a team that is reigning champion. They had to go through the play-in game, and now they find themselves down 3-2 in the quarterfinals. So not used to unfamiliar territory for LeBron in recent history.
Well, it's crazy. Literally every year for what is it, like 10 in a row now, I want to say, LeBron James has made the NBA championship every time he's been in the playoff, the last 10 playoff appearances. Because 2 years ago, the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs with LeBron there his first year there. But then last year, obviously, in the playoffs, they went all the way, won it. So he's at least made the championship game the last 10 playoff runs of his. So to get knocked out in the first round would be completely unheard of for LeBron James. But it is looking very I mean, they just lost by 30 points in this last game. Like, what on earth? Yeah, I'm scared.
Yeah. You guys pretty scared.
I'm scared for them.
Scared.
And, yeah.
You know,
I could keep talking about it, but let's move on, please, Haley. Let's move on.
Exactly. Okay, let's talk Denver Portland because Denver leads 3-2. However, heartbreaker for the Blazers the other night with Damian Lillard setting the NBA playoff record for 3-pointers in a game, passing Steph Curry, which, who would think that's possible? But Lillard sets this record, absolutely goes off. 12 made 3-pointers, 55 points, 10 assists, 6 rebounds, 3 blocks, like amazing stat line. Yeah. And then they take this thing to double overtime and lose.
Hey, sometimes you get very close, but still not enough. I mean, this to me was actually probably the most exciting potential series of the first round of all the matchups in the West or the East, and I think we're certainly getting that. As you mentioned, a double overtime game in Game 5 right there that barely Denver was able to squeak away with, and now be out 3-2 in the series. But Damian Lillard, speaking once again of entertaining players that knows how to clutch, absolutely dime time, is why he has such a nickname going for him. Despite his best efforts of that insane stat line performance, not enough there. But it's certainly a series from the very beginning. I would have expected to go 7, and I'm not going to change my mind on that. I see that one going 7 still.
Yeah, and my apologies. He actually didn't surpass Steph Curry. I just think of Curry and I think of threes, but it was Klay Thompson, actually, who had hit the 11 threes back in 2016. So Steph Curry on my mind, but it was actually Klay that he surpassed for that record. But yeah, that's been an entertaining series, and I kind of hope we go to Game 7. That would be fun.
Isn't it fair? To be fair though, like Klay Thompson, it's kind of crazy to think he hasn't played in 2 years because of injury, back-to-back season-ending injuries going into the season. So, I mean, that's a whole other debate or discussion to have, but he's still somewhat younger. I mean, he still is going to come back hopefully and perform. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he does when he comes back. But
I was just laughing because you okay. I was looking up Klay Thompson's age.
How old is he?
How old do you think he is?
I would guess like 30 at the most.
Plus 31.
Okay, he's 31. Yeah, that's not too bad. He's certainly. I mean, again,
he's really young.
Yeah, I mean, in my case, yeah, very young. I love to say that.
Very young.
Yeah.
Very young. Yeah. Cool. All right, Eastern Conference. So, the Sixers take on Washington tonight.
Yeah.
And Philly leads that one 3-1, but seems that Joel Embiid is out for tonight and maybe even a few games. So that will be a big piece missing, but imagine the 76ers might finish this thing up. And
I don't know. It's Washington is another one of these teams to me that's like they have so much more potential when they actually are playing well and connecting, and other players around Russell Westbrook, especially Bradley Beal, is feeling it. Like this is a team that actually is a higher seed in theory than that 8th seed. So. And I think we definitely saw that in the last game where, especially without Joel Embiid, he got injured early in that Game 4 there. That allowed the Washington Wizards to claw their way to pulling through with the victory. And with him being out again tonight, I actually wouldn't be the most surprised to see this series continue a little bit longer. So, yeah, the 76ers, I don't want to say they're in trouble, but it's certainly a series that can continue here. And I mean, speaking of ridiculous stat lines, Russell Westbrook continues to have them. And I'll say, for some reason, I watched this last game. I honestly expected it to be over, so I don't even know I was watching it. But I can't even pull it. I can't find the stat line.
Come up empty-handed here.
Oh, here we go. I got it right here. What was it? It was Westbrook. Yeah, he had 21 rebounds, 14 assists, and 19 points. So yeah, 20. The guy's 6'3" tall, and he's getting 21 rebounds in a game as a point guard. Like, what? How?
Hey, and he is one of the players that will be in Ultimate Rivals The Court at launch too.
Absolutely.
No big deal, but kind of a big deal.
So I was gonna say, it kind of is. I mean. He's I actually don't know what his stats look like in the game. I'm curious because he's one of those players. That's a Discord discussion we were having the other day. Somebody had brought up another player, Zach LaVine, actually of the Chicago Bulls, and saying how he deserves higher 3-point shot, which is kind of true because he did compete in the 3-point shooting contest. He is a good 3-point shooter as well. But it's like, obviously we have to have, there's that balance issue. We can't make all these players good at everything, or else might be a little too crazy. So, but you got to find that balance somehow.
That is true and fair. Knicks Hawks. So, like we were just talking about before we came on the stream, so many different playoff games. We also have the NHL going on, which we'll touch on in a second. But hard to watch all these games. But one I did tune into was Atlanta playing in New York, and it was like full capacity, and Knicks won that one. And just to see like the fans there, I mean, that's something that they haven't gotten to experience in a while, is a playoff win at home. That was kind of an exciting moment for them.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, you and I were talking about that off stream, like you're mentioning, where it was kind of the first time for me, at least, that it felt like we're getting back, if not back in a lot of ways, as far as fans go, as far as just being able to normalcy when it comes to the sports world, at least. So obviously that's not the absolute case, so we know that, not trying to deny anything, but it is a kind of a nice feeling to at least get some of that normalcy, and that game, and as we've seen it continue on in other series too, more and more capacity in the stadiums, and you can hear the fans, you can feel the fans for sure. So
yeah, it's been fun. I mean, I haven't even been at these games, and it just kind of gives you the chills when to hear. It's like for a while it's like, okay, like pumping in this crowd noise and whatnot, like it added some atmosphere, but now that you're listening to the real thing again, it's completely different. Like, it's very obvious that there are people there. There's a totally different energy. It's been, I feel like I've been at the games. Like, it's been fun to watch with these.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Knicks fans are going to need to show up again tonight because, again, they're down 3-1 now. In this series, Atlanta's playing Trae Young, dare I say, yet again. And yeah, he is also in the game, and awesome. He's actually another one of these crafty players that's smaller size, but he can obviously shoot the three, and he's a great at dishing the ball too. But he's not afraid to also drive to the rim, similar to a John Morant style there. So,
well, the Eastern Conference seems to be a bit more slanted in regards to where some of these series are at. As we mentioned, the Bucks and the Nets have already advanced and will actually play each other starting here in a few days. But yeah, it's been fun. I mean, it really does feel like sports are coming back to life again, and the playoffs, it's kind of funny because we started these playoffs without full attendance in most of these arenas. So as the playoffs and the intensity is building, fans are now being allowed in at higher and higher capacities, and to some extent full capacity. So it's sort of like the fan attendance is building with the momentum.
The finals, the finals is going to come around
already.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're playing in the playoffs, and you're playing in stadiums that are louder than you've experienced in really the last year and a half. So it's cool though. So, have we had any people participate in our poll yet while we're still talking NBA? Just walked through all the games, so didn't know if we had any
Let's see.
serious thoughts one way or another.
Well, we got some opinions here and there, some votes put in, and looks like the 76ers and Nets
Opinions.
getting some loves. The Bucks. So the Eastern Conference is all over the place. No one predicting a Western Conference team. That's an interesting right off the bat. But
Did you not vote?
I did. I voted for the Bucks, actually.
Didn't vote with your heart? I see the Lakers have 0 votes.
I mean, so yeah, they're down 3-2. It's one of those cases. It's like why are they a 7 seed? Like why are they struggling so much? Like it just feels like it almost feels like it would be cheap if they were to come back and win at this point. So
Are they really a 7 seed? I mean,
they're not. That's my
they've
point,
been
though.
so unhealthy.
Yeah, obviously the
Had they
injuries
been
haven't
at
helped.
full strength.
Yeah, I mean, again, you're right, but I am a Lakers fan, yes, but there is a part of me that wants to sit here and say, you know what, I wouldn't be the most disappointed if the Suns win. I really wouldn't, because the Suns do deserve it. The way that they played this year, I am a fan of Chris Paul overall, and Devin Booker especially what he does. So if they beat the Lakers, they deserve it. I wouldn't be the most disappointed in the end.
I like Chris Paul too.
He's got the fun commercials, the State Farm commercials.
But you know what? It wasn't that long ago. In fact, I believe it was our last stream following the play-in games that you and I both discussed that we both thought the Lakers would win the championship again.
Yeah.
Do you recall?
Opinion.
Happened.
Yeah, it's times change. You know, that was so long ago, Haley. I can't even remember what I had for breakfast then. I mean, it just.
I'm just here to remind people of things that have been said.
It's true. I was once a believer that the Lakers. I don't know. Like, you know
Now
what?
you're on the Suns train,
Maybe
and
the
Lakers
reverse.
are in jeopardy. It's just
The
all
reverse
convenient.
psychology is kicking in right now. There you go.
Yeah,
Convincing myself
I
otherwise.
see. Okay. Yep. This makes sense. This makes sense. All right, cool. So speaking of playoffs, NHL playoffs, Stanley Cup playoffs are going on right now. And I personally, I mean, I live in Boston. I have deemed myself a Bruins fan. Finally living in a city that has an NHL team right in my backyard. So it's been pretty fun. So yes, I'm kind of a bandwagoner, but like, I'm loving it. Like Boston is loving it. I walk outside my door. People are in their Bruins jerseys. It's been so much fun. And they have played every game has been really, really good for one reason or another. But they are currently taking on the New York Islanders, tied 1-1. They actually lost here in Boston, full arena at TD Garden, and they lost in overtime the other day, which was a bit of a bummer.
Mm-hmm.
But that's been, I mean, the series between them and the Capitals, like it was one of the most physical series I've ever seen. A ton of overtime games there, and then that series has been with the Islanders has been good too so far. So I highly encourage people to watch that one. Totally biased. I think it's been great. But yeah, like who doesn't love like Boston hockey? Like this is hockey thrives here in New England. It's a blast.
Yeah, this is
yeah.
I was gonna say this is the time. By the way, your camera's no longer there. I don't know if you want to refresh it and try to see if it comes back. I was gonna say, oh yeah, this is the time. Whether or not you're a hockey fan, this is if you're just a sports fan in general. This is the time to enjoy the hockey world, the NHL, because the NHL playoffs, like I said, no matter if you're a diehard fan or not of hockey, it definitely brings something out with for entertainment value. And I find myself kind of just tuning in every once in a while to these games throughout the playoffs, while also trying to pay attention to the NBA playoffs a little bit more so, but especially when it comes to the Stanley Cup, I'll make a point to watch most of the games, if not all of them. But yeah, I do want to say I also like the format the format of the playoffs this year, because of the whole COVID situation as well, has been interesting to see how it's played out with the matchups, where like you have these teams that are very close to one another. Again, the Boston Bruins versus the New York Islanders, as you're just mentioning right there, playing against one another. You got Colorado versus Vegas going at it. You got the two Canadian teams going at it because of, again, how the format was set up with these different regions playing against each other, and then it all comes together in the end there. So I think that's definitely been a nice change of pace.
One series that was absolutely crazy that I feel like we have to point out before we go here. So it's been really cool this season, like how they created this entirely Canadian division because of COVID, like the things people have had to do to be able to have these seasons, you know, come to fruition and make it to the end. So entirely Canadian division, so that you know, people aren't crossing the border and stuff during COVID. But the Toronto Maple Leafs, I mean, literally devastating.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this, but I mean, they were up 3-1 in their series and ended up losing.
Yeah, I'm looking back right now at the recap. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like, brutal. Well, not only losing, like being up 3-1 to losing, it's like okay, but in game 5 and 6 went to overtime as well.
Yeah.
And they lost in those overtimes. Yeah.
Heartbreakers. Yeah. The man, that's yeah, I feel like, I mean, that's one of those where, and you know, all these, we were just talking NBA, like these teams that are down 3-1 have hope, my friends.
Well,
it's not over yet.
You know, it's funny. Well, looking this on ESPN, the consensus pick, the 16 of their 16 analysts had the Maple Leafs winning the series in the end. So not the case. Canadians, definitely a bit of an upset there, especially coming back 3-1 to win that series. So
yeah, I mean, if you're a Canadiens fan, you are fired up right now.
I bet, yeah, especially there in Canada.
Become a Canadian fan. You know what?
You know what? It's funny we say that because the only NHL game I've ever been to in my life was actually in Montreal, Canada. Believe it or not. Isn't that, it's so random, but I was up there for an event, for an esports event. I was just attending, actually as a fan. I knew a lot of the people up there, so I figured, and I live in Michigan, so, you know, border's kind of close, whatever. Figured I'd go to Canada and hanging out, and it turned out like one of the nights, the Montreal Canadiens were playing the Detroit Red Wings. And that earlier that day, I found that out. I was like, you know what? I'll just go. Why not? I'm kind of off the whim. So I bought a ticket on my phone and went in. Oh my God, the atmosphere. That actually is one of the coolest sporting event atmosphere. And this is just a regular season hockey game, but one of the coolest things I've ever been to. Like they play this specific song. It's a French Canadian song, but that whenever a goal is scored, that it just hypes up the crowd and everyone sings it together. It reminds me a lot of like a soccer game feel in a lot of ways over there in Europe. So, but it was an awesome experience.
Like if you haven't been to an NHL game and like what better place to go than one in Canada?
I know,
like,
right?
I mean, I've been to a Bruins game and a Kings game, but that's really about it. Or a Caps game. Yeah, so I've been to a few hockey games, but like that's on my list of things to do. Like I don't care if you like hockey or not. That would just be fun.
Yeah, that's they love their hockey up there in Canada, so especially in Montreal.
What did you do? Did you root for Detroit?
I kind of quietly sat there rooting for Detroit, but there, you know, I'm trying to remember. There was like a couple of people that were sitting next to me that actually did have Detroit shirts on as well, so I talked with them a little bit. But yeah, I mean, Detroit got crushed. It was like Montreal was up like 4-0 early in the second period or something like that. So it was kind of one of those like, you know, they're Canadian. They're not going to talk trash like in my face or anything like that just because I'm rooting for Detroit there. So it was still a fun time for sure.
Well, if you ever come to Boston for a game, they will.
Oh, I know.
Talk trash.
Hey, I've been to my share of Chargers Raiders games growing up in San Diego, and definitely some interesting experiences. I'll leave it at that when it comes to that you witness.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I know what you mean. That's funny. Good stuff. Good stuff. Ricky, any final thoughts before we head out here for this week?
Oh, one actually, there was kind of breaking news recently, a couple hours ago. Coach K is planning to retire after the season. That's
What?
yeah, that's talk about an icon in the sports world, let alone college basketball. He's announcing his retirement after, what is it, 41 seasons? I mean, it's a long time. But
So here's a question for you.
Sure.
Do we think that this has anything to do with Roy Williams retiring?
What? So like he doesn't need to compete with him anymore? You're saying, or
No, didn't he just retire this year as well?
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, these two like legendary North Carolina coaches in the same city, and like they both retire the same season.
So, yeah,
Seems ironic.
they're in like a Snapchat together or something, you know, talking back and forth. I don't know why I said Snapchat. They're definitely not that. A group chat. A group chat is what I meant to go with. Like no, but talking back and forth as far as planning it out. I mean, honestly, I'm sure that they're friends. I'm sure they talk with each other.
Well, I just mean like I was trying to find out more. I kind of had forgotten, but like Roy Williams, I feel like he decided to retire because they had I don't know, like a lot of people thought I think thought it was like linked to maybe some of the changes in the rules in terms of like recruiting and like how that process worked, and it's kind of a nightmare, a headache.
Sure.
To be continued. I need to look into it more, but that's vaguely what I was remembering. So I was like, I wonder if it's starting a trend for some of the, longtime coaches that have been, doing this thing a certain way for so long. But beyond that, I can't really give you much more info because I need to brush up on it. But
yeah, Jim Boeheim is another name that then comes to mind as far as speaking of an old school coach that's very successful over his career. Maybe if he announces his retirement too, and maybe there is something to hold.
Well, you know what? I think, I feel like he's sticking around while his buddy Boeheim is on the team.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
he's got sons to coach.
That's true.
This is like, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was just more so. I will look into it more for next time, but more so wondering like, is there a shift in college basketball? Coaching like styles. I don't know. Well, yeah, definitely a legend. And like I don't know, Duke and North Carolina basketball are just both so iconic in the sense of tradition. So I guess we say goodbye to two of the most successful coaches to have been in the college game.
Yeah, and it's like in the college
Roy Williams 903 career wins, and then Coach K with over 1,000. So
a lot of wins. I was gonna say though, not only impactful in college basketball though, but even the NBA to an extent. Not of course with just developing players to then lead into the NBA, but I know Coach K for a fact. He coached several of the Olympic teams, the Dream Team. Yep. So obviously he's had more reach than just simply college basketball itself, and I guess are they in the Hall of Fame already? I don't know how that works as coaches actually, if they have to wait for them to retire, but if they're not, of course they will be. I think
it's safe to say.
Yeah. There's probably a chance they're going in.
If he's not, no one is.
Yeah. Probably a good chance.
He is the coaches Hall of Fame.
That is it. Yeah, North Carolina and Duke both losing their legendary head coaches really in the same year as far as their retirement goes, at least. That is kind of crazy.
Yeah, big hit on the ACC, perhaps.
Yeah.
Well, I think they will both be fine, I'm sure. But yeah, it's been fun. Like they always make, I don't know, the faces that you've seen in the tournament for so long and expect to see there, definitely I'm sure will feel a bit empty. But the game will go on. So All right. Well, that is all I have for today. But again, reminder for those of you that have been following along this week, especially, the Discord server is growing. So if you're not there yet, definitely go and join and check it out. And of course, if you would like to get your hands on Ultimate Rivals, the court, before it hits the Apple Arcade, we definitely encourage you to do so. And you can head into Discord and find out how to get access there. Or if you need help, message Breaky or myself. We're happy to help you get set up as well. And on that note, we will see you all online. And thanks for tuning in with us this Wednesday. Make sure to hang out with Breaky tomorrow. He'll be streaming Ultimate Rivals The Rink at 3 p.m. Eastern.
See ya.
See ya.